Hi, welcome to Truth Sentinel, watching over the truth in the news. Today's date is the 24th of June 2014. Welcome to all listeners, thanks for your support. Currently still here in Ukraine. Sunni rebels in Iraq say they've fully captured the country's main oil refinery in the north of Baghdad. Insurgents led by the group ISIS have overrun a swathe of territory north and west of Baghdad, including Iraq's second biggest city, Mosul. There's also been Israeli airstrikes on Syria, and also a Hamas spokesman in the Gaza Strip said at the weekend that Palestinians were headed towards a direct confrontation with Israel. There's been a big increase in tensions in Iraq and the Ukraine situations going on. It seems to me something big is happening in the military. My feeling is that the US and UK governments are planning a nice big war for us all, and it's not going to be pretty. I heard on the grapevine that Obama feels he has no need to get approval for any military action. And I even heard him say in a speech that people need to believe in a supreme power. It sounds to me like the power's going to his head a little. I tweeted Obama this week and invited him onto the show, but he declined to comment, which says everything. Actually, it probably doesn't say much at all, but I guess he's too busy to talk to us. Pro-Russian rebels in eastern Ukraine say they will be observing a ceasefire until Friday morning, responding to Ukrainian forces' unilateral ceasefire, which has also been supported by Putin. This announcement was made in Donetsk by Alexander Borodai, a leader of the Donetsk People's Republic, which is defying Kiev. On Friday, Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko announced a 15-point peace plan and declared a week-long truce. Let's hope this is a sign of peace. I'm a little bit skeptical, but you know, it's never hurts to be positive. The UN has warned of an alarming deterioration in human rights in eastern Ukraine, where separatists are fighting security forces, or at least they were. I think they're still ongoing, although they've sort of said there's a ceasefire, but I don't think it's entirely working at the moment. They found, the UN found serious problems of harassment and persecution of ethnic Tatars in Crimea, which was the mainly ethnic Russian region of Ukraine. Let's just hope that the problems here in Ukraine are over. It remains to be seen. I'm going to be leaving in a week or so, but then hope to come back again. So I'll always be keeping an eye on events here. The Queen and Duke of Edinburgh are to visit Northern Ireland later this month, and in fact they're probably on their way at the moment, or almost there. They're going to be attending a series of public engagements, and Northern Ireland Secretary Theresa Villiers said she was absolutely delighted. This will be a wonderful opportunity to show Her Majesty and His Royal Highness around. I mean, I want to make clear, I wish no harm to members of the royal family, but I just do not understand what we're doing with the royal family in this day and age, and why people still refer to them as highnesses and bow and curtsy, handing over millions of pounds every year to buy royal yachts, clothes that they never wear twice, have holidays abroad, and every news article is sickeningly glossed over with almost like Stepford Wives kind of love of this family. With the only argument for their purpose being they're good for tourism, which I think is absolute nonsense. I mean, people come to see Buckingham Palace, they never meet the royal family, and if Prince Philip was to get his way, every member of the public would be wiped out like a virus. His words, not mine. Check out his speech on population control, which you can find on YouTube. I'm going to cut down on some of the news this week just so we can go to today's guest. But let's just recap on last episode. We talked to Sarah Bajak again. I talked to Anthony, who's in Ankara, Turkey, and we talked about missing planes and touched on flight MH370 again. An update on what's going on that case this week. I heard that they're now saying the prime suspect in the disappearance of the jet that was carrying the 230 238 people, or was it 239? I'm not sure. The article I'm reading at the moment says 238, but the flight went off radar on March the 8th, and Captain Zahari Shah, who joined the airline in 1981, is now the most likely suspect. It just seems to me that they're just making stuff up all the time. The family has denied the rumours that Shah was having marital problems, but the police found that Shah had programmed a flight simulator at home to practice a flight far out at sea in the Indian Ocean. Could they be referring to Diego Garcia? And that they admit that he had practiced landing at sea in the Indian Ocean, landing on an island with a short runway. This was reported by the New York Daily News. Police found that the simulator was deleted from the computer on February the 3rd. Now, that being said, shouldn't the possibility of a landing on a small island then be investigated? That's just my thinking. You know, if the guy's been practicing, the plane's disappeared, he's practicing landing on a small island. If you look at the evidence, people should be looking at whether the plane has landed on a small island. Now, if it didn't, then maybe something else happened, but it's at least worth an investigation, surely. Whatever's happened to the plane, I still find that too many things do not add up about this story. Too many constant twists and turns. It's almost becoming a joke now, but not a very funny one, obviously. I hope that there's some progress being made on the appeal for money. Actually, to be honest, the millions that the fund that Sarah was talking about, you know, even if they don't get those millions, I don't think it'll be a wasted exercise, personally. I think just getting people to think about it, still keeping it in the news, getting people to contribute, giving people the opportunity to come forward and say something if they do have any secret information, that's definitely going to be worthwhile. Don't forget to leave comments in the comments section if you've got any ideas on future shows. I mean, a lot of the time, you know, I am helped by people who are suggesting guests and things like Douglas Dietrich, who's our guest today. I know that one of our listeners helped in inspiring him to come on, so thanks for that. And if you have someone that you would like us to talk to, then you could contact them directly. Contact the person, say that they could come and speak to us on Truth Sentinel, and then we can get in touch with them. I came across a video on the net which I've posted on Facebook and Twitter, which is Bill Clinton apologizing for human experiments on people by the CIA. Now, many of these experiments are alleged to have focused on mind control, erasing people's minds, etc. There was court cases over this, so this is not a conspiracy. It's quite incredible that governments would be capable of this. I mean, experiment on people against their will. And it does astound me that despite such cases, which have occurred and historically are a fact, the majority of people still label any suggestion that the government are engaging in criminal acts such as this as conspiracy. It's just stupidity to actually say that when it's already happened, and you've got people like Bill Clinton apologizing for it, which was at least reasonably good of him to do that. There's plenty of information on the internet on what went on with CIA mind control projects, so I'll leave it to listeners to do their own research on that. But maybe my next guest will be able to shed light on both that and other dubious practices that may be occurring in other government institutions such as the military, and he'll be talking about allegations of satanic practices. Douglas Dietrich is my next guest, as I mentioned. Douglas was a Department of Defense research librarian, and Mr. Dietrich was responsible for document destruction. He also became entangled and exposed in child sexual abuse scandals. Douglas has appeared as a guest on shows such as Coast to Coast, Caravan to Midnight, and often controversial but never boring. I was delighted to have the chance to speak with him, and I'm going to split the show into two halves because we spoke at quite length. So today's show is part one. We'd originally intended to speak about zombies and vampires, but we talked about other stuff instead, and we just sort of decided to see where the conversation would go. We'll talk about zombies and vampires on another show for sure. There is some colourful language in some bits, so I wanted just to warn you. Rather than editing everything out and beeping and stuff I just wanted to let you know, and if you know, if you do have children around, you might want to turn the sound down at some point, so that's just a warning. Without further ado, let's listen to what Douglas has to say. Hello, Douglas.
Hi, Mr. Sentinel. I'm really glad to be here with you. It's an honor to be here with your listenership on the Truth Sentinel program.
No, the honour is all ours to have you on as a guest. We really appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to us, because I know you've got a lot of information about lots of different subjects, and I know today we were going to sort of talk about zombies, vampires, and voodoo, but we're also going to cover any other subjects that come up. So, basically, what would you like to talk about first?
Well, I'd like to talk about anything that your audience feels is important, and I think that what is always something that is important to the population in general is a lot of what happens to people that they recognize or people that they're familiar with through media. So that would include celebrities, and I think that in nature of what I specialize in, or if we could dignify it by that term, my manageress is actually someone who has been working with the topic of mind control for a very long time, and super soldiery is a subtopic of that. So she has organized two summits in a row called Super Soldier Summits 1 and 2. And by the third annual summit that we've held, which was just a few days ago, and it was extremely tied in to what people have been hearing about in the media with the so-called Las Vegas revolution shooters. Basically, that was known as the Mind Control Summit. So we kind of subsumed the topic of super soldiery within the overarching topic of mind control. I'm going to, of course, allow her to speak to that much more in depth with you when you have her on in the near future. But as for myself, I think that that's a good place to start. I spoke about it just the other day on Joyce Riley's Power Hour, and I put the link to that of the MP3 of that digitally archived audio up on my Facebook timeline. We can bring up a bit about how people can access a lot of things I've done in the past through that and my website as our interview progresses. But one of the things that I think has a lot to do with mind control and what ultimately impacts a lot of these celebrities would be this topic of super soldiery, what happened in Las Vegas. This does tie in with ultimately what happened to Peaches Geldof. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly in light of her passing. And she, of course, is someone who's recognized across the Atlantic and a citizen of the United Kingdom when she was alive. One of your country people, if I am to guess your citizenship correctly.
That's right. My oven has suddenly started making a pinging noise. I hope it's okay. I haven't even got anything cooking, so that's very odd, very odd indeed. Never mind. Yeah, Peaches Geldof passed away unfortunately some time ago, and that was quite unexpected. But I mean, these days there are a lot of celebrities that seem to die unexpectedly at a young age, and it always seems to be put down to drugs. They find a bottle of pills next to them. And do you think that's the case?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. I think that some of these cases are actual suicides, and some of these cases are just drug overdoses or accidents. And by the way, by that I would mean that that the individuals who were victims of that were somehow. Good God, that's maddening! Is there?
Hang on a sec. I'm going to have to try and sort this blooming oven out. I don't know what the hell's happening here. I'm renting an apartment in Odessa, and there's all kinds of machines in this place, and I have no idea how to work the damn things.
Okay, so thank goodness my host was dealing with some electronic harassment all of his own, and he was able to attend to that, and finally he got some of his machines to cooperate with him, and which is quite the accomplishment on his part, since he doesn't speak any of the local language, at least not to the point yet where he can read the directions of the machinery in Odessa of Ukraine with any great sense of, shall we say, scanning speed.